Good morning, my dear students. We were discussing about optical isomerism, and in the previous class, we have seen what are optical isomers, and we have seen what are the conditions for any organic compound to exhibit optical isomerism. Now we continue our discussion with optical isomers. In the previous class, we have discussed what are enantiomers. Enantiomers. See here, I have a compound here with four carbon atom. Four carbon atom. Out of these four carbon atom, the first carbon atom and the last carbon atoms are not asymmetric carbon atom. We know an asymmetric carbon atom is a carbon atom in which all the four substituents or groups attached are different. So when we consider this compound, the first carbon atom and the last carbon atom are not asymmetric, but the second and third carbon atoms are asymmetric. As a result, the second and third carbon atoms could align or orient with groups attached to them in different plane, giving rise to optical isomers. When I consider these first two examples, I could say these first two examples are enantiomers. Why they are enantiomers? Because these two compounds are object to mirror image. They are connected as non-superimposable object to mirror image. Hence, these first two pairs or first two compounds are enantiomers. Enantiomers. When I consider the change in configuration or change in arrangement of atoms or group of atoms in the second and third carbon atom, which are asymmetric, we could say these two pairs are obtained. See here, when we consider the first compound and the third compound, the difference is that in the first compound, for the third carbon atom, the H is on the right hand side. Hydrogen atom is on the right hand side. But moving to the third compound, OH is on the right hand side. That means there is a change in spatial arrangement between first compound and third compound. And the first compound and third compounds are not related as object to mirror image. Just see carefully. First compound, this one, and this compound, third one, are not connected or related as object to mirror image. But the third compound and fourth compound are connected as object to mirror image, and they are non-superimposable. Hence, third and fourth constitute a enantiomer pair. Now I have two pairs of enantiomers, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2 are connected as object to mirror image. 2 and 3 are connected as object to mirror image. But 1 and 3 are not connected as object to mirror image. 2 and 4 are not connected as object to mirror image. But all these are optical isomers. So we bring a new term called diastereomers or diastereoisomers. Diastereomers are only possible if a compound contains two asymmetric carbon atom or stereogenic center. See here, in this particular compound, we have two asymmetric carbon atoms. The second carbon atom and third carbon atom. They are asymmetric carbon atom or stereogenic centers. Now, the first one and third one are related as diastereomers. Diastereomers. So we could say diastereomers are optical isomers which are not related as object to mirror image. See, all these four compounds have same molecular formula, same structural formula, but different spatial arrangement. So 1 and 3 are related as diastereomers. So we have enantiomers and diastereomers. Enantiomers are related as object to mirror image, while diastereomers are not related as object to mirror image. So optical isomers which are not related as object to mirror image of same compound is called diastereoisomer. And diastereoisomer is only possible if the molecule have two or more asymmetric carbon atoms. If the molecule is having two asymmetric carbon atoms, it gives rise to 2 raised to n, where n is the number of asymmetric carbon atoms. Hence, we get 4 optical isomers. In this compound, we have 2 asymmetric carbon atoms. Hence, 2 raised to 2, we should get 4 optical isomers. And 2 are enantiomers, while 2 are diastereomers. Take down, very important. Distinguish between enantiomers and diastereomers. Now see here, the optical isomers of lactic acid. This is lactic acid. The lactic acid is having one asymmetric carbon atom. See, this is the asymmetric carbon atom in which one group is COH, one is H, one is OH and another is CH3. And these are related as object to mirror image, non-superimposable object to mirror image. And there is only one asymmetric carbon atom, so 2 raised to 1, 2. 2 optical isomers are possible. And one is D-lactic acid and another is L-lactic acid. One rotates the plane polarized light towards left, levorotatory. One which rotates the plane polarized light towards the right is the dextrorotatory. Levorotatory is optically active, dextrorotatory is optically active. If I mix equal amount of levorotatory and dextrorotatory, if I take 10 molecules of dextro and 10 molecules of levo, and if I mix together and if I study the optical rotation, the optical rotation is 0 or the resulting mixture is optically inactive. Such mixtures which are optically inactive due to the presence of equal amount of dextro and levo are called racemic mixture. Racemic mixture. So we define racemic mixture is a mixture of equal amount of dextro and levo. dextro and levo. And the optical rotation or the optical activity of racemic mixture will be cancelled each other. I told you these two are optical isomers. If dextro rotates the plane polarized light towards right with an angle of 10 degree, levo rotatory rotates the plane polarized light towards the left with 10 degree. If equal amount of levo and dextro are there, the optical rotation gets cancelled and hence the molecule become optically inactive. So for lactic acid we could have dextrolactic acid, levolactic acid, and if they mix together we have the racemic mixture. Take down. So we have discussed what is racemic mixture. An equimolar mixture of dextro and levo of the same compound is called racemic mixture, and racemic mixture is optically inactive and the rotation will be cancelled each other. Hence the net rotation of the mixture is 0. Or we could say the optical inactivity of racemic mixture is due to the external compensation. One on the left direction, one on the right direction. Hence they get cancelled each other. It is called external compensation. See here, I have a butanol here which is having a plus 13.5 degree rotation, and I have butanol which is having minus 13.5. These two are related as object to mirror image. So for any racemic mixture, it should contain equal amount of dextro and levo enantiomer. Racemic mixture is represented by DL bracket or plus or minus bracket. Racemic mixture have no optical activity. The mixture may have different boiling point and melting point from the enantiomers. Very important, take down. Now we have to see about the optical isomerism of tartaric acid. This is tartaric acid. COH, CH, CH, COH. Tartaric acid contains 4 carbon atoms. Out of the 4 carbon atoms, 2 carbon atoms are asymmetric. That is, the second carbon atom and third carbon atoms are asymmetric. Hence, we expect 2 raised to n, that is equal to 2 raised to 2, that is 4 optical isomers. Since tartaric acid contains 2 asymmetric carbon atoms, we expect 4 optical isomers for tartaric acid. But actually 4 isomers are not available. That we have to discuss now. Take down. Now check the structure 1 and 2 of tartaric acid. These two structures are related as non-superimposable object to mirror image. Non-superimposable object to mirror image. And we know compounds which are related as non-superimposable object to mirror image are called enantiomers. So these two are the enantiomeric isomers of tartaric acid. Now just see the structure 3 and 4. When we consider structure 3 and 4, They are also, in one sense, non-superimposable mirror image. But these two isomers are optically inactive because this molecule or these two isomers have a plane of symmetry. If the molecule is having a plane of symmetry, then it does not show optical isomerism. So for tartaric acid, we expect 4 isomers. 2 are optically active, 1 and 2 are optically active, while 3 and 4 are not optically active because 3 and 4 contains a plane of symmetry and hence the optical activity get cancelled each other. Now see here, the rotation of the first part will be cancelled by the rotation of the second part. That means if the first part rotate the plane polarized light towards left, the second part rotate the plane polarized light towards the right. For this molecule, if this part rotate the plane polarized light towards right, the second part will rotate the plane polarized light towards left. That means the optical activity get cancelled due to internal compensation. Internal compensation. Such isomers or compounds which are expected to be optically active but due to the plane of symmetry they remains optically inactive are called mesomers. Mesomers. So tartaric acid only exists as enantiomers and an mesomer. Take down. So, 4 forms of tartaric acid could be identified, but only 2 forms are optically active. First one is the D-isomer or dextrotartaric acid, which is optically active and rotates the plane polarized light towards the right. Second one is L-tartaric acid or levorotatory tartaric acid. D and L are enantiomers. If I mix equal amount of D and L, it form a inactive, optically inactive, that is called the racemic mixture. And for D and L mixture of lactic acid, it is optically inactive due to the external compensation. And the fourth form is mesotartaric acid, which is optically inactive due to the internal compensation, that is due to the presence of plane of symmetry. So, as per 2 raised to n principle, we can have 4 isomers, but only 2 isomers are optically active. The remaining 2 are optically inactive. Take down. Hence, we could explain mesomers are symmetric optical isomers and they are compounds in which the net rotation of plane polarized light is 0 and this is due to the internal compensation and they contains more than 2 or 2 chiral carbon atoms and mesomers are optically inactive. They have opposite superimposable mirror image. Mesomers have opposite configuration on to asymmetric carbon atom. The compounds which show mesomerism are called mesocompound And this is very important. The cause of optical inactivity of mesomers is internal compensation, while the cause of optical inactive in racemic mixture is due to the external compensation. The difference between racemic mixture is a mixture of D and L compound, and their optical inactivity is due to the external compensation, while mesomers are compounds having plane of symmetry and their optical inactivity is due to the presence of internal compensation. Take down. Now we move to another heading, that is configuration. In stereochemistry, configuration means the arrangement of atoms or group of atoms around a particular carbon atom in a particular compound. And these arrangements of atoms or group of atoms around a particular carbon atom in a compound predict the optical activity of that compound. Hence, the study of configuration of organic compound is very, very important. There are two classifications for the study of configuration of organic molecules. I repeat, configuration is the arrangement of atoms or group of atoms in a particular compound in three-dimensional space. And depending upon the different arrangement in three-dimensional space, we get different configurations. And two configurations are there. They are absolute configuration, which is also called as R and S configuration, rectus and sinister. R is rectus and S is sinister. So that is the absolute configuration. And the other one is the relative configuration, which is designated as capital D and capital L. This D and this L is not at all connected to dextro or levo. This is only the arrangement of atoms around a particular carbon atom in three-dimensional space. So you should not get confused with DL system, that is capital D and L system, and dextro and levorotatory. Dextro and levorotatory is not at all connected with the configuration. They are connected with the optical rotation. So to assign the configuration of organic molecule, we have two classifications. They are absolute configuration or R and S, and relative configuration represented by D, capital D and capital L. Now we see how these D and L notations are used to identify the configuration of any organic compound. The D and L system are relative configuration. Relative configuration. That means D and L system have a sample or reference. Taking that reference molecule and its arrangement, we compare all other molecule with this standard molecule, and we assign whether the molecule is D configuration or L configuration. I repeat, for Assigning D and L configuration, it is a relative configuration, and the relative configuration is related to a sample or a reference compound. Here the reference compound is glyceraldehyde. Glyceraldehyde. This is the structure of glyceraldehyde. See here, CHO, C, CH2OH. It is a tri-carbon compound. There is 3 carbon atom. One carbon atom is the CHO, another is at the asymmetric carbon atom, and we have a CH2OH. When we take glyceraldehyde, we could have 2 arrangements for glyceraldehyde. For the asymmetric carbon atom, if the OH is on the right hand side, it is designated as D-glyceraldehyde. If the OH group is on the left hand side, it is designated as L-glyceraldehyde. So we have 2 types of glyceraldehyde depending upon the position of OH group on the asymmetric carbon atom. See here, this is the asymmetric carbon atom. In this asymmetric carbon atom, the OH group is on the right hand side. Hence, it is D-glyceraldehyde. In this particular compound, the OH is on the left hand side. Hence, it is L-glyceraldehyde. Any compound which have similar configuration to that of glyceraldehyde is a D-isomer. And any configuration similar to L-glyceraldehyde is L-isomer. I repeat, this capital D and capital L is not connected with optical activity. It is only connected with the position of OH group of the glyceraldehyde. If the OH group is on the right hand side, it is called D-glyceraldehyde. If it is on the left hand side, it is called L-glyceraldehyde. And these two are basically enantiomers. Enantiomers. Take down. Now see here, in this compound, this is a sugar molecule, carbohydrate molecule. So in this particular molecule, the OH group, see here, this is the penultimate OH group which is having the asymmetric carbon atom. That means this is the last carbon atom, or sorry, second last carbon atom which is asymmetric. This carbon atom is the last carbon atom which is not asymmetric. Okay. Now see here, in this molecule, the OH group is on the right hand side. So this is a D sugar, because in D-glyceraldehyde, the OH group is on the right hand side. So comparing to glyceraldehyde, here also the penultimate carbon atom is having OH group on the right hand side. Hence, it is a D sugar. See, the same molecule in different arrangement. All the carbon atoms arrangements are same except the penultimate carbon atom. Here the OH group is on the left hand side. Hence, it is a L sugar. Why it is L sugar? Because the relative standard or reference is glyceraldehyde. In glyceraldehyde, if the OH group is on the left hand side, it is L-glyceraldehyde. Similarly, here the last or the penultimate carbon atom is having the OH group on the left hand side. Hence, it is L sugar. L sugar. See another example. D-mannose and L-mannose. D-mannose and L-mannose. Why this is D-mannose? because in the D-mannose the last asymmetric carbon atom having the OH group on the right hand side, while for L the OH group on the left hand side. Hence this is a D sugar and this is a L sugar. So DL system is a relative configuration based on the D-glyceraldehyde and L-glyceraldehyde. By comparing the position of OH group in D-glyceraldehyde and L-glyceraldehyde, we consider another compounds or other compounds as D or L. Very, very important. Take down. Now we move to another type of configuration represented as erythro and trio. Erythro and trio are common terms used in stereochemistry. And this erythro and trio are used for organic compounds having two asymmetric carbon atom or stereogenic centers. When the compound is having only two asymmetric carbon atom or stereogenic centers, there is a chance of usage of configuration represented as erythro and trio. If the OH group of the two asymmetric carbon atoms are on the same side, placed on the same side, that means left side or right side, it is called a erythro. Erythro. Listen carefully. If the OH group of the asymmetric carbon atom are aligned or placed the same side, it is called erythros. If the OH groups are on the opposite side, it is called trios. Trios. So these are examples for carbohydrate molecules, and we use erythros and trios usually for saccharide molecules, but it could be also used for any compound, any organic compound having two asymmetric carbon atoms having almost same groups attached. See here, in this particular compound, for these two asymmetric carbon atoms, the atoms or group of atoms attached are almost same. See here, we have a H, we have a OH. Here also we have a H, we have a OH. This is an asymmetric carbon atom. The second carbon atom is an asymmetric carbon atom. Third carbon atom is an asymmetric carbon atom. Here the OH groups are on the same side, while here the OH groups are on the opposite side. So the term erythros and trios are used if the molecule is having two stereogenic centers and if they have same substituents or atoms or group of atoms attached to them. For example, if I have instead of OH, I have some other thing, ClCl, ClCl. If the Cl groups are on the same side, it is erythros. If the Cl groups are on the opposite side, it is trios. You got it? Take down. We could use the configuration D and L for erythros and trios molecule. Just see here. See this example. See here. This is erythros and trios molecule. In the first molecule, see the OH group are on the right hand side. Hence it is a erythros molecule. Erythros molecule. This is also erythrose molecule. Why? Because the OH group are on the same side. OH group are on the same side. So these two are erythrose and they are related as non-superimposable object mirror image. Listen carefully, observe carefully. These two molecules are erythrose because it contains two asymmetric carbon atom and the OH groups are on the same side. See here, molecule 3 and 4. The OH groups are on the opposite side. Opposite side. For the second and third asymmetric carbon atom, the OH groups are on the opposite side. Since the OH groups are on the opposite side, they are called trios. Trios. So I have 4 isomers. 2 are erythriose and 2 are trios. Now, if I consider D and L configuration, see, this is the penultimate carbon atom, asymmetric carbon atom, or the last asymmetric carbon atom. See, the OH group is on the right hand side. OH group is on the right hand side. If the OH group is on the right hand side, it is called a D isomer or D configuration. See, in this erythrose molecule, just see, the OH group is on the left hand side. Hence it is L. Don't get confused with erythrose, triose, D and L. Erythrose molecule is a molecule in which the substituents are on the same side. Same substituents on the same side. Triose molecules are molecules in which the same substituents in the opposite side. D molecule means OH group on the right hand side. L molecule means OH group on the left hand side. So among the two erythriose, there is a D erythriose and L erythriose. Why? Because in D erythriose, the OH group is on the right hand side. In L erythriose, the OH group is on the left hand side. Similarly, see triose molecule. In the first triose molecule, see the last carbon atom, that is the asymmetric carbon atom, this carbon atom, the OH group is on the right hand side. Right hand side. Hence it is a D configuration. So it is D triose. D triose. See here, the last asymmetric carbon atom, the OH group is on the left hand side. Hence it is L triose. That means triose molecule could be D or L. Erythrose molecule could be D or L. You got it? Take down. See here, erythrio and trio. I have another example. This is an erythrio molecule. Why? Because these two are the asymmetric carbon atom and in which the chloride are on the same side. So it is a erythrio molecule. See the second example. The chloride are on the opposite side. Hence it is a treoisomer. You got it? Now see here, for this molecule, this is a erythroisomer. Why? Bromine on the same side and its Sohos presentation. This is the Sohos projection formula representation for the erythroisomer. You just draw the Sohos projection formula for a triose isomer. For a triose isomer, instead of this bromine, there will be Cl. And instead of this Cl, there will be bromine. Don't get confused with D, L, erythrio and trio. Very, very important. Now we explain another term called enantiomeric excess. Enantiomeric excess or EE is a term or a mathematical representation to express or measure the optical purity of a sample of mixture of enantiomers. We have seen what are enantiomers. Enantiomers are objective mirror image, non-superimposable objective mirror image compound. Or enantiomers have dextro and levo rotation. When we take a particular enantiomer, for example D isomer, if I take a dextrorotatory isomer, if it contains small amount of levo compound, then I get an optical activity or optical rotation less than the actual optical rotation. You got it? See, I have 1000 molecules of a dextrorotatory sample, and along with the 1000 molecules of dextrorotatory sample, there contains 500 molecules of levorotatory. So I expect an optical rotation for 1000 dextrorotatory, but due to the presence of 500 molecules of levorotatory, I will get an optical rotation less than the expected. That means the compound contains some other enantiomer. That means mixture of enantiomer. If the mixture of enantiomers of same amount, it is called racemic mixture. So enantiomeric excess is used to express the purity of enantiomers. So we could define enantiomeric excess when a mixture of enantiomers is neither enantiomerically pure nor racemic. The relative amount of the enantiomers in the mixture is expressed by the term enantiomeric excess. As I told you, if I have 1000 molecules of dextro and 1000 molecules of levo, it is a racemic mixture. But 1000 molecules of dextro and only 500 molecules of levo, that means one is excess than another enantiomer. To calculate that, we use the term enantiomeric excess. It could be simply defined as it is the excess of one enantiomer over the other enantiomer to the total mixture. For example, if I have 1000 of dextro, 500 levo, I could say 1000 minus 500, that is 500 divided by total mixture is 1500. Into 1000 will give you the percentage of enantiomeric excess. You got it? So enantiomeric excess says whether the molecule is completely pure or impure. For example, I have only 500 dextrorotatory molecule. There is no levorotatory molecule, only 500 dextrorotatory molecule. If I calculate the enantiomeric excess, 500 divided by 500 into 100, that means the molecule is 100% pure. You got it? If 500 of levorotatory, 100 of dextrorotatory, what happens? 500 minus 100, that is 400, divided by 500 into 100 will give you the enantiomer excess. Take down. See the equations to calculate the percentage of enantiomeric excess. This is the observed optical rotation. Optical rotation divided by optical rotation of the pure sample into 100. Got it? Optical rotation of the pure sample. This is the optical rotation of the observed sample. For the pure sample, the optical rotation is 500. For the observed optical rotation is less than 500. That means that sample is not pure. If the observed optical rotation and the experimental optical rotation for pure sample is same, it is 100% pure. So take down these equations. There you could expect a question. What is enantiomeric excess and how could you calculate enantiomeric excess? Take down. We have discussed what are enantiomers, how it is different from diastereomers. We saw the optical activities of lactic acid, tartaric acid, what are racemic mixtures, and what are meso compounds. The difference between racemic mixtures and meso compounds. Then we discussed the D and L configuration, erythros and threos configuration, and finally we discussed enantiomeric excess. All these topics are very important. So thank you for being with me. We will meet again. I think almost all the topics are finished. Now only some portions regarding geometrical isomerism and R and S configuration remains. That we will take in the next class. Thank you.